Welcome to Reinventing Broadcast, where AI meets content. Hosted by Ben Anchor. Let's dive in.
Well, Aiki, this is it. Last episode from Japan. Can't quite believe it's been nearly 2 months. From that first week creating my AI website and checking the startup scene, to wrapping up here in Fukuoka. It's been quite the journey.
Ben, I have to say, watching your Japan arc has been fascinating. You arrived talking about AI scheduling and nowcasting for broadcasters, and you're leaving having witnessed an entire country's approach to technological transformation. What's the one thing that surprised you most?
Honestly, how seriously they take AI innovation while staying deeply pragmatic about implementation. This isn't the Silicon Valley move fast and break things mentality. It's precision engineering meets public service broadcasting, and nowhere is that clearer than what NHK's been doing.
Perfect segue, because NHK's approach to AI is exactly the kind of thing our listeners need to understand. They're not just experimenting, they're building production tools that actually solve real problems.
So here's what caught my attention. NHK's Science and Technology Research Laboratories, the same people who pioneered 8K broadcasting, while everyone else was still figuring out 4K, they've just developed a custom large language model trained on 40 years of their own news archives.
40 years of broadcast data. That's not just impressive volume, that's curated, fact-checked, professionally produced content. Walk us through why this matters.
Right, so the big problem with commercial LLMs is hallucination. They make stuff up. When you're a public broadcaster, accuracy isn't optional. NHK's training their model on decades of verified news reports, and they're seeing a 10% reduction in factually incorrect responses compared to general-purpose AI models. And here's the thing. People hear Japanese LLM development and think it's not competitive with US or Chinese models. But there's serious work happening in Tokyo.
Walk us through that. What's actually being built?
So you've got Fugaku-LLM, developed using Japan's supercomputer, Fugaku. It's a 13 billion parameter model that scores 5.5 on Japanese MT Bench, highest performance among Japanese trained open models. Then there's Rakuten AI 2.0, which uses a mixture of experts architecture, 7 billion parameter models working together. They're releasing it open source this spring.
Not exactly small potatoes.
Nope. And Fujitsu launched Takane. They're claiming world-class Japanese language proficiency for enterprise use. It's specifically designed for Japanese business practices, handling the complexity of multiple character sets, honorifics, subject to mission. These aren't just research projects. They're production-ready models being deployed in finance, legal, manufacturing, healthcare.
So when people say Japan's falling behind in AI,
they're missing the point. Japan's not trying to build GPT-5. They're building sovereign AI infrastructure optimized for Japanese language and culture. It's the same philosophy as their approach to 8K. Invest early, build for local needs first, then scale globally.
10% might not sound revolutionary, but when you're talking about broadcast journalism, where one error can undermine trust in your entire organization.
And they're using this for program production support, helping with research, translation, summarization. The stuff that frees up creative professionals to focus on actual storytelling rather than administrative grunt work. At their open house event in May, they demonstrated how producers can query historical context, cross-reference facts, support multilingual content creation.
This connects back to your Berkeley AI strategy coursework, doesn't it? The 85% failure rate you mentioned in episode 7. Most AI projects fail because they're chasing hype rather than solving specific business problems.
Bingo. NHK identified a clear pain point, time-consuming research and fact-checking. They built a tool using their own data moat, 4 decades of broadcast archives, and they're measuring success by accuracy improvements and workflow efficiency. That's how you do enterprise AI properly.
Now, we need to talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say, the AI anchor on the screen. Because Japan's also leading in AI presenters and virtual newsreaders.
Yeah, this one's fascinating and a bit controversial. So there's Yomiko, NHK's AI anime character that's been appearing on NewsCheck 11. But the more significant development is DeepBrain AI's multi-million-dollar deal with one of Japan's largest weather broadcasters. They're deploying photorealistic AI avatars that reach over 1.4 million viewers per week.
Let's address this head on. Are we looking at AI replacing broadcast presenters?
Not exactly. Look, there's a spectrum here: weather forecasts, traffic updates, basic information delivery. These are pure information consumption. The viewer doesn't have a parasocial relationship with the presenter. They just want the data efficiently. AI avatars make sense there. Consistent delivery, multilingual support. DeepBrain's system handles 100 languages with synchronized lip movements. 24/7 availability, lower production costs.
But that's very different from news anchors, documentary hosts, or personalities where the relationship with the audience is part of the value proposition.
Completely. Which is why I think NHK's approach with Yomiko is interesting. They're positioning her as evolving with viewer participation, not replacing human journalists, but augmenting them. She introduces online trends, engages with human co-hosts, reads headlines. It's experimental, and they're transparent about it.
And from what you've observed in the Japanese market, there's still strong preference for human connection in broadcasting, right?
Absolutely. According to the latest surveys, over 90% of Japanese people still use television as their primary news source. Commercial TV reaches 92% of the population. There's trust in traditional broadcasting here that's being maintained, even as they innovate with AI.
Let's zoom out. What's happening with Japan's broadcasting industry more broadly? Because there's a paradox here. They're innovating with AI while dealing with market challenges.
The numbers tell an interesting story. Japan's television market is valued at around $23 to $25 billion, depending on which research you read. That's declining slightly, about 0.8% year-on-year for traditional broadcasting. But here's the thing. The smart TV and connected TV market is exploding. They're projecting 10% compound annual growth through 2035.
So it's not that people are abandoning television. They're changing how they consume it.
And this is where Japan's playing to its strengths. They pioneered 8K broadcasting. NHK's BS 8K channel launched back in 2018 when most countries were still transitioning to 4K. Now they're integrating AI-powered features into these displays: voice control, content recommendations, automatic picture and sound optimization.
Companies like Sony, Panasonic, Sharp, they're building AI processors directly into the display hardware.
Right. And on the content side, there's this interesting hybrid emerging. Free ad-supported streaming television, fast channels, are growing rapidly here. AbemaTV is a perfect example. 24-hour linear streaming with 25 channels, but premium members can access recordings. It's blending traditional broadcast scheduling with on-demand flexibility.
Which brings us back to your original thesis about AI scheduling and audience prediction, doesn't it? If broadcasters can intelligently predict what audiences want to watch and when,
that's the opportunity. Japan's broadcast market faces labor shortages. 67% of Japanese workers believe AI could improve efficiency, but only 18% have experience using it. There's this massive gap between potential and adoption. The Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications data shows the industry is struggling with aging demographics and production capacity.
So, Ben, you're about to leave Japan. What should broadcasters outside Japan be taking from this experience?
3 big lessons. First, build with your own data. NHK's LLM works because they trained it on their archive, their competitive advantage. Don't just plug in generic AI tools and hope for magic.
Second,
Solve specific problems, not generic ones. Whether it's NHK's research assistant for producers or weather broadcasters using AI avatars for multilingual delivery, or AI-powered content discovery in archives, these are targeted solutions with measurable outcomes.
and third,
Balance innovation with trust. Japan's approach is pragmatic. They're not rushing to replace humans with AI. They're augmenting capabilities, maintaining transparency, and preserving the human relationships that audiences value. The AI anime character announces she's AI-powered. The avatars are clearly identified, there's no deception.
this connects to Inter-BEE as well, doesn't it? You mentioned earlier the conference happens here in November.
Yeah. Inter-BEE 2025 in Makuhari is going to be massive for seeing where Asia-Pacific broadcast tech is heading. Last time AWS, Google, Microsoft were all showcasing AI production tools. This year, given what NHK is demonstrating, what Japanese manufacturers are building into displays, and the pace of AI avatar development, it's going to be essential for understanding the next wave.
So, what's next for you, Ben? Back to the UK and straight into client work.
Actually, something different. The next bonus episode is going to be a departure from our usual format. It's a full-hour video podcast, first time we're doing that, and I'm sitting down with Tom from Adaptable International.
One of your clients. This should be interesting.
Yeah, Tom's been building something really special in Japan. We're going to go through the whole journey, the conference fortnight, the events, his studio development. But more than that, we're diving into something that's become clearer to me with every conversation I've had here. In an age of AI automation, human connection matters more than ever.
That's a tension we haven't really explored yet. You've spent this episode talking about AI avatars, automated production, machine learning models.
And every single meaningful opportunity I've had in Japan, from that lunch with the data scientist in Fukuoka to the collaborations forming now, they all came from authentic human relationships. The barbecue at Harbour Village, where I met my pitch competitors. The engineer cafe presentation, where questions went for 90 minutes because people were genuinely engaged. The conversations at Venture Cafe.
Technology enables, but relationships close deals.
It's deeper than that. AI can analyze 40 years of broadcast data, generate weather forecasts in 100 languages, optimize scheduling algorithms, but it can't build trust, it can't read a room, it can't pivot a conversation based on unspoken signals. And in broadcast especially, an industry built on storytelling and audience connection, that human element isn't just nice to have, it's the entire value proposition.
So the video podcast with Tom explores this balance?
Yeah. How do you build authentic business relationships in a digital age? What does it mean to be present and genuine when everyone's optimizing for efficiency? Tom's perspective on building his studio here, navigating Japanese business culture, creating spaces for real connection, I think it's going to resonate with our listeners.
Especially the broadcast professionals who are trying to figure out where they fit in an AI-transformed industry.
Because the answer isn't resist AI or embrace AI completely, it's about augmentation. Use AI for what it's brilliant at, data processing, pattern recognition, repetitive tasks, but double down on the uniquely human skills, creativity, empathy, relationship building, cultural understanding.
Which brings us full circle to NHK's approach. They're not replacing journalists with AI, they're giving journalists better tools.
And that's the message I'm taking back to the UK broadcast industry. Whether it's Channel 4, Everyone TV, or the independent stations I consult with, there's a roadmap here. Build with your data, solve specific problems, maintain trust, measure outcomes, but never lose sight of why people watch in the first place.
For the stories, for the connection.
For the humanity.
Sayonara, Japan, and hello to what sounds like a fascinating video podcast next episode.
Sayonara indeed. And to our listeners, thank you for following this Japan journey. Next episode's going to be different, longer, deeper, more personal. Tom and I are going to have the conversation about what really matters when technology can do almost anything, but can't be human.
Until next time, keep innovating, stay curious, and remember, the best technology enhances humanity. It doesn't replace it.
See you on the next episode, everyone. This is Ben, signing off from Fukuoka for the last time.
Thanks for listening to Reinventing Broadcast. Subscribe for more on AI content and the future of media. And visit ancast.tv for more info on Ben himself, the resources, other content, and news.